order. Please rise for the pledge of flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Patty not to
Okay, moving on. Next item is approval of the agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add or alter on the agenda?
If there is no addition or amendments, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Support.
Moved and supported to approve the agenda as submitted. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. The next item is approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of January 14th, 2020.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll support that.
Moved and supported to approve the minutes of the January 14th meeting as submitted. Is there any discussion?
Yeah.
Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. The next item is financial report.
We began the month of January with $209,372.50 in the general fund. We took in receipts of $197,860.04, and we made disbursements in the amount of $49,957.66, which left us with an ending balance in the general fund of $357,274.89.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the financial report as submitted.
Support.
Moved and supported to approve the financial report as submitted. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Moving on, correspondence. Item A, Council on Aging. Every year we get a communication from the Council on Aging, and they kind of tell you, all the good stuff they do, and asking for money. And we normally don't give them any, because if you give it to one organization, how do you say no to the next organization? And they do get village money from the county, but you can't say enough about all the services they provide to disabled and senior people in St. Clair County. They have Meals on Wheels, they have health stuff, they'll even transport you to your doctor. We have an article in our newsletter that tells you how to contact them for some of these services. They're a great organization, they do a great job, but that's about it.
Do we have a lot of residents or a number of residents that use Meals on Wheels? Or?
Yeah, some years they give you more statistics than they do here, but there was a few years there they went by my house, but I don't see them go. There mustn't be anybody down there anymore.
St. Clair County is supposed to have one of the best support systems for aging people in the whole
They do.
whole state, pardon me. the whole
Yep,
state.
they offer a lot of services, so if you're disabled, you have a hardship, or you're a senior, and you have a problem, give them a call, and if they can't help you, maybe they can point you in the right direction.
A couple of my guys out at Southwood, when they retired, that's what they were gonna do. They were gonna work for Council on Aging,
Yeah.
just driving.
They help on tax preparation
Yep.
and investigate social security benefits for people and things like that. They, on top of, I know the Washington Life Center has many classes, crafts and exercise and just social gatherings. It's very active at the Washington Life Center.
And it's also too, they're saying how the epidemic of loneliness especially among elderly, it's, they're kind of viewed as a public health threat. And it's good that they have, this is such a great organization,
It's nice.
so.
They do good work.
Okay, moving on. Item B, Chamber of Commerce elected officials breakfast. They've had this for a number of years. They skipped it last year because the Chamber of Commerce in Richmond was in a state of flux. Well, they're alive and well again, so they're going to have another breakfast
I always like this.
The format's gonna be a little bit different this year, but it's the same thing. And it's coming up, let me scan this here, I forgot the date.
April
24th of April, which is a Friday up at Mariachi's in Richmond.
Yeah.
So, since it's an election year, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people.
Oh, I'm sure Mr. Hack will be there.
So, if you wanna go,
I'm gonna go.
call them up.
So, no, that was the last time they hit it was when it was the 200th anniversary, and everyone had a focus on it. And I thought what you did about, the settlers here having to clear trees and how life was hard.
Well, yeah, they said they're gonna focus on the historical. So all the other supervisors get up there, oh, we put in 8 bridges, or we did this, and I was the only one, I got up there and said, imagine what it was like 100 years ago.
Yeah,
People came out here, there was no doctors, they came from another country, they had no money, if they didn't get something to eat, they were gonna starve, because nobody was gonna help them.
right.
That was the history, that was the hardship.
Who was it, your grandfather had broke his arm, they took him to the Indians and they...
Well, they were building the barn, the guy broke his arm, and there was an Indian camp down the road here. And they took him over there and they wrapped it in cloth and then soaked it in molasses to get hard. And that was his cast. The Indians did that.
Yeah, my great aunt could remember when
So-
the Indians would come and camp out like down on Aunt Backer's farm in the woods in the summer
Yep.
for a while.
Is the township
No,
reimbursing
let 'em.
back the cost?
Normally, there's a sponsor for every table. Nickel Sap has done it the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm assuming they're gonna be calling. If they do, there won't be a cost. But if there's a cost, we'll bring it up to the board, they'll compensate you.
And Macomb County always seems like big city, we're like the country. But when I go to events where we're there with Sandlak County, we seem like big city in their country, we're really country.
Okay, moving on. Old business, item A is the park update, and it's gonna be a short update because nothing's going on. I tried to contact our consultant, Pam, last week, was unable to do so. I was in touch with the person doing the site plan. The first 2 plans were not appropriate, so he's supposed to be working on the final edition. Have not heard a word from him. So we'll be in touch. There are a bunch of grants that you have to have submitted by April 1st. The last time I talked to Pam, she said that some of them might be viable, and that's the last I heard on that too.
Last year, apparently, was from reading the township stuff, it's $2 million they provided for different townships for
Well, there's like
park development.
3 or 4 that have to do. And so every time I got something in the mail, or email, I would email it to her, even though I was reasonably sure she probably had it from another source. So everything's kind of just status quo at this point in time.
And from the number of townships involved, which was few, they each must have got a pretty big chunk of change to help with their parks. So I hope we can do the same.
Well, it all depends. They have a criteria, and whoever meets it. And some of their criteria doesn't always make sense, but that's their business, that's their money. I know Columbus had in the paper they applied for one, but the chance of getting one are probably 5% or less, because they get so many applicants. So, we shall see. Item B is the NEMC update. I kind of outlined that in our update. They're getting some bugs over there because Comcast changed their funding. Instead of giving the money to NEMC, they give it to the township and we have to send it to them. We got a check today for the PEG fees, and we'll be sending that along to NEMC because we can't keep it anyway. Now last month, I had the board approved back in November, I had the board approved sending it, and I didn't put it on the agenda today for approving it because it should be automatic. Every time we get one, we forward it to NEMC because we're in a consortium.
Is the number of cable subscribers going down? Is that one of their problems?
Well, it's a percentage of their income. Now, it actually went up today from November a little bit. But then the numbers they give you, they won't tell you how many there are. That's guarded in a vault by people with guns, because they will not tell you how many subscribers you have. What they do is, they tell you how much money they brought in and the average bill. So you can do the math and figure out how many subscribers you got. But I don't necessarily believe that, because they said back last fall, the average bill was $80. Well, unless you're a senior citizen that just gets basic cable,
It's hard to believe.
you're not coming close to $80. You're probably coming closer to $150.
Yes.
Now, they got new numbers this week. It said they're $110. I still think that's low. Costs almost that for the internet without your telephone or any cable TV. So, we're working on that. We will be sending along their PEG fees. And the other part of the funding is based on 50 cents a month per subscriber. So, and some of the townships are having trouble addressing this. So as soon as everybody gets on the same page, we'll be coming back. It was approved by us years and years ago. I'll be coming back to you with that. The other issue was the treasurer. Joe Adair's been doing it for 20 years. And she does a great job, but she can't do it anymore. So we're probably gonna have to pay somebody to do it. So we're in the process of looking. In the meantime, we're paying Joe to do it by the month to get through. I mean, she does it all. She does the 1099s, she does the monthly, and she writes all the checks to all the people that are filming the events. So she gave us this, what I had in your packet, to appoint or replace her. And I'm hoping we can get somebody in one of the townships that has a large enough staff and somebody wants to make a little bit of money, that'll be willing to do it to keep it in-house. Otherwise, we're gonna have to go out of the house.
Are we supposed to have two members? I see on the roll here, there's two spots for, we have Wayne.
Well, we have 2 members and an alternate.
Okay,
Wayne and Bob Kettle are our members,
right, okay.
and I'm the alternate.
Okay,
So-
so Bob's name's not listed.
So when Wayne hasn't been able to go, I've been trying to fill in, but I don't really feel like going, but
Yeah.
Wayne's back on his feet, isn't
minimal,
he? He's doing inspections. Huh?
yeah, but minimal,
He's able to do that. At least that's good.
yeah.
I haven't seen the red WB truck go by my house, though.
Well, that's a stick shift, you're not gonna see that.
That's okay.
His left foot's the one that's bad, so you're not
That's
gonna
the
see him in
reason.
that one. He drives the old one, which is an automatic.
Okay,
So, he is healing,
good.
but he only walks at a bare minimum. Because when he does, his foot kills him, and he's afraid of the ice and all that. So that's kind of the update on the NEMC. So we're hoping to get that ironed out, so they start getting their money from the PEG fees, because out of the members, only Casco and Armada repaid the PEG fees from November yet. So they're having trouble getting the information out to the right people in each of the townships. So, but it did go up a little bit this, since November. So they must have had a rate increase at the first of the year. So I'd like to get that ironed out. Hopefully it'll work out. Okay, any questions? Moving on, new business, item A, poverty guidelines approved. We usually do this, and this is for the board of review. And the federal government sets poverty guidelines, and then it goes to the state tax commission. And they usually just raise it, the cost of living each year. So in this year, in 2020, if you want to apply for a hardship for your taxes, the base, the absolute, it has to be under $12,490 a year, or have extreme circumstances. And that's not very much money. You know, you're not gonna, there's people that spend $1,000 a month on prescriptions, you know. So, we don't get very many, maybe 2 or 3 a year. And, but you have to disclose all your net worth, basically. You know, if you've got a bank account or if you've got savings or something, you gotta disclose that. So,
Do they tend to be elderly or?
well, or disabled,
Okay.
yeah. So we would need a motion to approve the poverty guidelines for 2020.
So moved.
I'll support that.
Moved and supported, approve the guidelines for the board review in the year 2020. Any discussion? I guess we'll have a roll call vote on this one, folks.
Who supported that?
I did.
You made it. You so moved.
No, I moved, he
I
You
supported.
supported it? Thank you.
Roll call vote.
Colleen,
Yes.
Bill,
Aye.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
thank you.
Motion carries. Moving on, website contract. The person we had, the firm we had maintaining our website decided to discontinue giving that service because when they started it, they thought there was going to be an avalanche of business from it, and it never happened. So their coverage is ending the end of February, so we're running out of time. I spoke to our IT guy, and he was kind of interested, but I'd rather keep it in-house a little more. So I called Steve Casco, our planner, and he sent me a price today, and it's a good price. It's lower than what we were paying,
That was a deal to beat.
and he said he did it in Clinton Township for a number of years, so he's not unfamiliar with the process. So his rate is $125 a month.
Okay.
And that is to maintain the website and to put all our information on.
Does he have no end just until he decides that he wants to?
Well, this isn't the contract, it's just the price.
Okay, you want?
So he'll come up with it. Now, the other contract we have is you might need a 30-day notice, but it's, you know, it's not, I would like to get this for at least a year
You
at
want
a time,
a motion to hire him, right?
to hire him at this rate.
Yep, I make a motion to hire Casco Planning Group LLC to do website maintenance and updating for Casco Township at $125 per month.
Do you want to put a time for you on there or not?
No, I can bring you the finished contract back, but we need something so we could move ahead. Now, we got a notice that our, oh, what do they call it, Brenda?
The host,
For the thing that's running out.
the hosting thing is running out.
Yeah, the firm that, thought it was in here, it's not in here.
GoDaddy or something along those
Huh?
lines? GoDaddy or
Well,
something
they're the
like
ones that produce, but anyway,
Well, but there are website administrators. Is that what you're looking for? The domain?
domain, that's what it is. It costs money for the domain, and I looked through last year's bills. Steve seems to think it's pretty cheap, like $40 a year. But they have options that are up to $400 a year. So I had a call into Dan, Rod Arroyo, because I couldn't find a bill for it. I'm sure if it was $400, we'd have got a bill. So we'll see what that option is, if it's viable. Steve said he could do that. If it's $40, we'll have to pay him. But he didn't have a password to get in. And Patty wasn't in today, so I couldn't get a password from anybody. So we'll be working on that. But at least if we carry it over, we can't allow it to lapse. It's going to lapse in March. So we had a motion, we didn't vote on this yet.
No,
did we?
Joe made the motion, Dan supported, roll call vote. Dan,
that. Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bill,
Aye,
Colleen,
Yes.
motion carries. Okay, moving on. Payment of the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills as submitted.
Support.
Moved and supported to pay the bills. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Colleen,
Yes.
Bill,
Aye.
Joe.
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay. Um, Moving on. Citizens' comments. This is your opportunity to address the board with questions or comments. We'd like to get your name, but it's not necessary. Mr. Steeler, you got anything cooking?
I do. Bill Steeler, St. Clair Highway. Every month at the meeting, I see this financial report, and I wonder, is there other financial reports that township residents have access to see, or is this the only one?
No, you can look at anything.
You can look at
Okay.
anything you like, you just have to come to my office.
Is the audit report available too?
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah,
every year we get an audit. Our
So just-
fiscal year ends
Okay.
April 1,
yeah.
then we get it audited around June. And that'll show how much money we have or don't have in the bank. And, yeah, they're all public records.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm sure you have various accounts where funds are sitting.
We do, certainly do, yes.
Well, primarily
Well,
we have
does he
CDs
get,
for, larger
does he
amounts.
get this? This is,
These are
This-
accounts.
No,
This
that
is-
doesn't have our
He's
CDs.
got that.
That,
Oh.
I have, our
oh,
investments.
it's here.
I can give you an investment report, which I do monthly, which lags behind as this one does a month, because I'm getting the figures in later in the month. But I submit that to the supervisor, and it goes into the records for the auditors to look at. You are also welcome to have a copy of that as well. And that shows you the CDs that we have. Generally, our CDs are kept in two varieties. One, it backs up and enhances our general fund, and the other are Parks and Rec. All of the other accounts are strictly cash in and cash out, such as our trust and agency account and the liquor account. The liquor account is funded by the state of Michigan for the inspections that we have to give. And so we write a check once a month from that, and I keep the records for that. And trust and agency is the bonds submitted to the township and returned upon a certificate of occupancy in a building, or forfeited if such a thing doesn't happen. And that is the trust and agency account. Parks and Rec has its own account at the bank, and I think that's about it.
And there's a very rigorous budget process, so you can see what's allotted, and then if there's any changes, what funds were transferred to in or out, or, so the budget is
Next month.
in balance all the time.
Yeah,
basically.
in the
Very
summer
rigorous.
that we have an
Very
audit,
rigorous.
we're required to have an auditor come and check all
And
that.
then every
And-
year
and the
there's a
difference
major audit,
between-
and an audit report.
The difference between how a township is run and seemingly how the state or the federal government is run is that our accounts are generally what I call lockbox accounts. If that money is to go into Parks and Rec, it goes into Parks and Rec, it is spent for Parks and Rec, and it may not be borrowed to enhance the general fund or any other fund. Trust and agency is the same, the liquor account is the same. They are all separate and individual with individual accounts at the bank and audited annually. And we don't rob Peter to pay Paul around here. And that's just how township governments have to run their books.
You should get that to run off on the state.
Yes, or the federal.
We can
yes.
literally show you where every red cent goes.
Yeah, very much
Well,
so.
next
Of course, we
month,
don't have as
in
many
March-
red cents as they do.
In March, we'll have a public hearing for next year's budget. And the budget, we'll have budgets there, and it's what we're proposing to spend next year. And we do that every March so that we're ready to go 1st of April when the fiscal year ends.
Yeah, it's just, I was thinking the other day, you have 5,000 of my money, and I was wondering, where is it sitting? You know,
Trust and agency.
In the trust and agency
Yep.
account. And when they tell me to release it, I will gladly
Yeah,
release it.
yeah, so, yeah, that's the thing here in Casco Township. We don't have nothing to hide, so. I used to
Well,
joke.
it's public information.
Yeah.
Anybody
It
can
all
see
is.
anything they want,
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
you know? We don't have any secrets, all you do is look at it. Now, by the end, there'll be an ad in the paper next Wednesday, assuming I get it done, that the budget will be here for inspection, next year's budget. But the clerk's been out with a family matter, and I've been sick, so I'm hoping to get it done by then. But basically, we just go through the entire budget, and it's 20 pages. And it lists every item. And we look how much we spent last year, what do we anticipate this year, and we make adjustments. And for the most part, we're pretty good, but like things like building inspector and stuff, the more permits we get, the more money he makes. Now we throw that line out of whack. So when we get, next month, we have to adjust the budget to bring it back into where it should be. But you can't, there's no way of telling them ahead of time how many inspections. Now, there's offsetting revenue, but that doesn't help the expenditure side. So that's the main thing. But state law says, or you're supposed to, put your funds into accounts that are insured. So we can't invest in things that are insured. So that's why we're in the CD business. And
In the short-term CD
right,
business.
well, we have quite a bit of money in there, but unfortunately, it's not paying 10% like it did
Yeah,
20 years ago.
Years ago, yeah.
You know, a couple of years ago, geez, you're gonna have to fight to get 1%.
Government takes a lot of knocks on how it spends money, but some of your local governments, a lot of your local governments, are some of the most efficiently run organizations, to include businesses in the nation. Because we have to account for everything. We have nowhere else to go. We have to deal with our issues
Yeah.
here. So, you know, we've been good at that.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Good question.
Yeah.
Speaking of money, you're gonna be getting your tax assessments in about a week or 10 days. And
Why would you be any different than anybody else?
our 2020 newsletter will be in the envelope with the assessment, so
Right.
don't throw it away.
Yellow.
They're yellow, the ones with the yellow.
The last was orange.
Yeah.
Don't throw it away until you get that yellow thing out and read it.
You guys, you must have had, I would say, this looks like an Air Force personnel report. They don't want to see no white space. Everything has to be.
Yeah.
No, the paper's not big enough.
Right,
we gotta fit it on
And
that.
if we did it on 2 pages, we'd have to increase the postage
Yeah. we're not
on
doing
almost
that.
2,000 envelopes.
And your taxes would go up, huh?
So we do not do that, we squeeze it on one.
Yeah, at least you can change the typeface so you couldn't read
No,
it.
that's it, no.
We've done that. No, I've done that.
So that'll be in with your assessment, that's coming up. The assessment, I think, is,
We have to be mindful of our aging population.
oh, it's the cost of living. I don't know, I think it's around 2%.
We're all getting there.
But that's how much your taxes will be going up.
Unless you pass a bond issue.
The equalization factors are pretty much the same, it looks like.
Yeah,
I would have expected up.
well, residential's really up. So your residential is up like, what was it, 7%?
Yeah, I think so.
But your taxes don't go up by, you've got assessed value, taxable value. So the assessed value is going up 7%, your taxable value is only going up 2%, which is under,
Heavily or what's the other?
no, the one England passed, Proposal A.
Proposal.
Proposal A says cost of living of 5%, whichever is less. So we've been averaging about 2% the last 20 years. But it still adds up, you know, year after year after year, all you gotta do. But if you have records old enough, if you go back in the early 90s, see what your tax bill was then, before Proposal A.
Yeah.
You know, now they send you out a tax foreclosure in the newspaper. It's like 5 pages. In the early 90s, that was probably 50 pages. Because the taxes were so high, people just let them go. And so it's better, a lot better than it was. That's about all I have. Anybody else have anything?
Do you want to talk about the millage?
Well, I could, 'cause
Yeah.
we're gonna have another meeting before the election, but
Oh, okay.
at the, March 10th is the presidential primary election, and there's gonna be 3 millages on there. Casco's going for a renewal of their road millage. Every dollar goes to the roads, it's just a smidgen under 1 mil. East China School District's going for a millage for new, I don't know what they're doing, I don't go on East China. But first school, basically, they want to combine the districts and fix everything up. And Macomb ISD is going for a millage, which is Anchor Bay and Richmond, for their school, an increase. But we're not looking for an increase in Casco, we just like to keep it going, because it pays 75 to 80% of our costs for the roads. And without it, you're not getting all that gravel every year.
And we get a lot of matching funds.
Yeah,
So,
we used to get more in state revenue sharing that comes from the state sales tax. Well, the state legislature cut, we'd only get the ones guaranteed by state constitution. They cut anything else. Plus, at the time, the property values had gone down, so the amount were coming in for taxes. So we asked for a road mill, but this is the 3rd time we're doing this, right?
yep.
Yeah, 3rd time, in order to get some more funding to maintain our roads.
Well, we have 2 big costs, that's fire protection and the roads. And, so we went with the roads. Because you see it more, unless you have a fire, you don't see the fire truck. So we charge a little bit for fire runs, but we have neighboring townships that charge from $900 to $2,500 for a fire run. We're at $250. So we're trying to keep that as low as possible. But we spend out just about $100,000 on fire protection. It's a lot of money for a township our size. So that election's coming up the 10th of March. Everybody votes right here. It's in your newsletter. When you get the newsletter, read it. So we have our meeting a week earlier than that, because it would have been the same night. We can't have a meeting when this is full of voting booths. So we moved ours up a week. That's about it. Anybody else have anything?
Any comments on the Tannerite issue?
No, they had the guy was supposed to address a committee from, as a county. That was last Thursday. And they're having a public hearing in Brockway. Look, is there a date on there? I think there is somewhere.
I didn't
The
catch it.
20th, is it?
Oh, 20, yeah, February 20th.
Yeah, well, Keith Telto's going to that. So I spoke with Dave Rushing, who's their county representative, and I said, you guys need to think about doing a county ordinance. And he didn't get back to me yet, but he's thinking it over.
Seems like the senator ducked on the issue completely.
So, we'll see.
People like to blow things up, it should have been over in a rock, a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they've done it here before, a few years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, there were some huge explosions down at our end of the township. We could never figure out what they were. Somebody's probably
If
blown-
it's
we
legal,
thought
you
a
can't
stump.
prevent it, all you can do is control it with ordinances, but they're very hard to enforce.
Right.
Sure. No
So-
place.
We'll see what happens.
I've had my fill of explosive after I come back from the rock. No way.
Yeah, I was surprised that there is such a binary explosive out there that someone can just get.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and that it can be big, be a big thing.
Okay.
Well, times have changed. I remember an article in the Richmond Review that they found a stick of dynamite in one of the lockers at a school. Now, that was on the 3rd, 4th, 5th page of the paper. This was years ago, like 20, 25 years ago. Been in 35 years, could be longer. But now, that would be not, that is not on the 3rd page. That's on the 1st page, everywhere.
Everywhere,
You know,
yeah.
so
And
times have changed.
I was talking a while ago with the Army Explosive Ordnance Disposal, and they were saying that every so often they get calls where somebody's like father or grandfather was World War II, had souvenirs, they were going through
Yeah.
souvenirs, and there's
Yeah.
some
There's a.
live grenades and all,
Yeah.
and they're called up, and, you know, the police see it, oh geez, and they call
Yeah.
the army to take it, and they take it up to
Yeah.
Camp Grayling and
Souvenir.
destroy it.
Anybody else have anything? We're
So,
up to adjournment.
So moved.
support.
Moved and supported to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Well, we have to